Welcome to Tub Talks with Damon. My very special guest in the tub today is Saline Dijon.
Hello,
I'm
Cher.
so happy to have you here.
I'm very excited to be here. I've been just wanting to get into a tub with a hot man, so here we
Oh,
are.
I'm so honored. I'm so honored you're here. And it's a really hot day in New York, so thank you for being here on like the hottest fucking day of the year.
Anytime.
This is amazing. I so admire your work. I so admire your energy and your voice and your activism.
Thank you so much.
Before we talk about that,
Yes.
I want to ask you, what do you like most about your body?
About my body, my eyes. I love my eyes.
Yeah, show the people.
My
Let's hear it.
eyes.
Oh,
They're
what do you like
super-
about your eyes?
I feel like they, even when I'm not talking, they're talking.
They are expressive.
They talk.
I don't know if people can see that, but they're very powerful.
I'm also a Leo, so even when I'm silent, I'm not being silent. So I'll be.
That's the powerful.
My face talks enough shit without my mouth moving.
And what is your? So if you are, do you have a poker face? Can you lie? Like if you're annoyed or frustrated,
absolutely
do people know it?
There's no poker face. Like the other day, someone was singing in the bar, and there was no mistake that I didn't like it. There was no mistake.
What was that face? Can you show me the I don't like it face? There we go. That was it. That was it. The implicit disapproval.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being here. You know, your work, your act, your entertainment adds so much to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And thank you. I want to go back a little bit and just talk about how Saline began.
Okay.
Because I think in terms of origin stories, we have something very similar going on here. We have a lot in common in terms of how we became the professional people we are today.
Well, what happened was the first time I ever did drag, I was 12. It was for a school talent show. I just wanted to sing Cher's Believe. I was 12. I think I just said that I was 12 years old.
I love that.
And I auditioned.
12 and Believe was
12 and Believe was originally released. Yeah.
Love it.
Love it. But I auditioned for the show, and I just really wanted to sing. I felt like I had a good handle on just doing her voice. I thought it would be fun to just sing the song, and got into the show. And then my mom was like, "Are you going to dress up?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get something, like a nice shirt and pants or whatever." She's like, "No, I mean as Cher, you're gonna dress up as Cher." And I was like, "What? I'm 12, and I get the shit kicked out of me in school." And then I was like, this could make it funny, possibly. So maybe I'll do anything for a laugh. And I showed up to dress rehearsal. They didn't know I was doing it. They asked me who I was. I gave them my government name, and they did a double take. They were like, "We were gonna ask you to do this, but we didn't think it was appropriate." And then I was the only one on the night of the show that got a standing ovation and a curtain call. So I did something right. It ended up not being funny. It ended up being a triumph.
And this was Long Island.
That was Long Island, yeah.
99.
99.
Wow.
I'm lucky, though. I went to a high school that was very diverse. I did have a hard time as a gay kid going to high school, but more or less accepted. I had a lot of good friends around me that were supportive, and my parents were very supportive of anything I wanted to do. And I was lucky in that aspect for sure.
That's incredible and so wonderful to hear that your mother and your parents held space for you and to be you.
For sure.
As being you.
Yep.
Hey, were you a Cher fan before, growing up?
So not a huge Cher fan. Like I would listen to songs and like I loved If I Could Turn Back Time, but I didn't know it was Cher. I was 3 years old when that song came out. I had no idea it was Cher. And even for all those years, because you're just listening to the radio. Like my mom would listen to like adult contemporary radio, and I would hear all these songs and stuff, but I would never question who the artists were until I started getting serious about singing, which was around 12 years old. And then I found, once I heard Believe and I started like backlocking on her discography, I was like, oh my God, that's her. Like the Shoop Shoop song. I had no idea that was her when she covered that song. Yeah. But I just always loved her voice. And when I finally found my love for Believe and put her face and everything and her voice to all those other songs, it was just an incredible thing.
Wow. As a 12-year-old, did the energy of that song resonate with you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Something in it, right, spoke to you.
Yeah, that song.
As people of all ages.
There's so many ways to interpret that song.
Yeah.
It's like it is for most pop music. There's just different ways to listen to the words and feel something, or just listen to the music itself and feel something. Like Life After Love, like there's so many ways to take that in.
Yeah.
Like, especially for gay people, because like kids getting kicked out of their houses, their life after loving your parents who just made you leave their home. There's just so many ways to think about that.
Yeah, that was so this. I'm a huge Cher fan. I grew up a Cher fan watching her show on CBS.
Oh yeah.
So that's I grew up in the 70s.
For sure, yeah.
And she was just this character on TV, but the most beautiful, amazing. And even as a kid, I connected with the fact that she was so confident and so insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And that became sort of my template of being like, I'm really this insecure, geeky kid who's terrified of the world, but I put on this facade and I can put on the persona. And, you know, my metaphoric Bob Mackie dresses, and just being like, I can be this personality that appears confident when really inside. And I didn't know that about her. Later on, you know, she talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
But at that time, it's just something about that I picked up on as a kid, that you could be whoever you want to be. And even if you have to do a little pretending, it's okay.
It's okay
to put that on.
For sure.
And then over time, it's just throughout my childhood, she went from TV to singing to movies. Nobody took her seriously. And she proved them wrong every time.
And then won a fucking Oscar.
Every time, right? So when she won the Oscar, that was when I was starting to come out of the closet. And she was like, when she won the Oscar, she said to Barbara Walters, I'm not afraid. She said, I'm not afraid of people making fun of me. I'm just like afraid to not be who I fully am.
Yes.
And that resonated with me as a teenager. That was my moment of like, okay, if she can do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
Oh my God.
But Believe was a very personal experience because I had just lost one of my dearest friends to my roommate, who I lived with for 5 years.
Okay.
And he had just died of AIDS in our home.
That's
at the end of 1998. Thank you. It was horrible. I mean, it was, you know, really intense. And then Cher, who had been there for me my whole life, came out with this song. And that's what that song meant to me. I mean, it still makes me cry, but it was like that part of 1999 when that song became popular. Do you believe in life after love?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, that was my grieving song.
Oh my God.
It meant so much. And that Cher was finally, you know, coming back.
There's probably so many people that were in that same boat as you too around then.
So intense. So I loved hearing how that song informed your experience and seeing, because you go to Instagram.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you said
Saline Dijon on Instagram.
It is the cutest picture because there's a picture of you.
Yes, there is. There is. There's a picture of me from that talent show for sure. And even further, like my gay awakening from Cher, my friend taped the HBO concert for me, the Believe tour, because I didn't have HBO.
Yeah.
But she left the tape running, so an episode of Sex and the City was running after it, and it was this episode where Miranda thought the guy across the alley was cruising her, and he's like showing his chest, and then he shows his ass, and then she flashes him her boob, and then she runs into him in the grocery store, and she's introducing herself to him, and he has no idea who she is. And then she's like, oh yeah, I remember the boob. And then he's like, oh yeah, I know one who lives above the guy I've been cruising. And that was George Hahn, the actor George Hahn, and he was so freaking hot, and he's still so freaking handsome. But that was my gay awakening. I was like, oh. So literally after a Cher concert, I see a man's ass, and I'm like, gay.
The universe communicates in very clear ways.
It was like, that was like.
And how old were you?
I was, at that time, 13.
Wow, so you knew.
I knew. Oh, I knew it from a younger age. I just didn't know what it was.
Were you able to talk about that? Did you have any support at the age of 13?
I didn't really have to talk about it. Like my mom, other than Cher.
Cher.
My mom always knew, and I might think my dad says he always knew, but like it was never really talked about. I didn't come out until I was 17. So, but then at that point it was just like, oh yeah, welcome to the world. Like it was not a big surprise. Nobody really had anything to negatively say about it. And I just grew up kind of like, it was just like a silent knowledge that I was gay. So like when I did finally say it, it just wasn't a big surprise.
Wow. Okay. I'm so grateful that you
Me
had
too.
that experience and that more and more people are able to come out and have generally a better experience. I know it's not like that for everyone, but I think in the 2000s or in the 21st century,
Yes.
there has been often a better time.
Oh yeah, I mean that was when we had Ellen, and then the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy came out, and Will and Grace, and like all these things were happening, and then what was it, like 2000? I can't remember what year it was. RuPaul's Drag Race came out, and that was a big thing too.
That was.
So
Now,
a
did
lot
that
of
influence you?
RuPaul, no.
I hear
That
ya.
did not influence me. I never wanted to do drag in the first place.
So how did Saline,
Saline.
sorry,
That's
how did Saline develop?
Saline came about as a favor for a friend on Long Island. She was doing a show, and she was actually supposed to have Jiggly Caliente
Oh yeah.
come out and do shows like just after Jiggly's season.
Okay.
And I miss her, wonderful queen, Miss Jiggly. But she was supposed to come out and do a show like 6 hours before she canceled for whatever reason it was. I don't know if something happened, personal, whatever it was. She had a hole in the show, and she's like calling me at work. I was working at the Cheesecake Factory, and she's texting me, and I'm like, leave me alone, I'm not doing drag. She's like, I need you to fill this hole because you can sing and it's something different, and I need to fill this hole that now I have in the show. And I was like, find somebody else. And then she started calling the front desk at my job, and she wouldn't leave me the fuck alone. So I was like, okay, if it'll make you stop calling my job, I will do it. And then my girlfriend came with a couple of dresses. She worked for a hair salon, brought a couple wigs, dolled me up, and then I walked out with like $240 in my bra after 4 minutes of singing a song. So I was like, I guess I could do this once in a while.
Oh, where was that?
That was at the Lizard Lounge in Bohemia on Long Island.
Wow.
And that was in 2012.
2012. How did that feel that first time on stage at Sunday?
That first time, I hadn't really developed a character or who I was as a queen yet. I just literally was doing a favor for a friend. I didn't think I had developed anything. I just went on there with the wig and was going to sing and then leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was nothing developed, so I had to and I had to come to terms with the fact that I decided that I wanted to be a drag queen myself, because back then it still wasn't the most accepted thing to be a drag queen. Like, oh, I'd already come out as gay, and I had a decent, lucky time with that. But then I felt like I had to come out again as a drag queen to my friends and to my family. And even dating as a drag queen back then was super, super hard. Still hard for some drag queens now, because it's just a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to deal with. But also, there's a lot of stigma of not being masculine because you're putting on a wig. A lot of gay guys will say that you're lacking the masculinity that they're looking for in a relationship because of what you do. And it's a complete weird anomaly type of thing. And it was much harder back then, but there's still some of that a little bit today.
So you still get that stigma?
I don't. I've been in a relationship for 6.5 years.
Okay. And this person embraces.
Oh yes. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as deep in drag as I am now. He's an esthetician, so he's into makeup and all that stuff. During COVID, I was depressed and not getting out of bed, so he would help me with my makeup. He would buy me palettes and say, let's do this and that, and let's tweak your look. And then he pushed me to get on and do shows online from my living room when we couldn't get out of the house and do anything. And I made literally the most money I've ever made in my life doing those shows.
The virtual
shows. Oh my God. Oh my God. The way people would throw their fucking unemployment checks at me. Thank you. But yeah, so that got me more into doing the drag, and I enjoy it a lot more than I did. It was more a hobby, and now I feel like it's a part of me.
Wow. Yes. So I remember during COVID, you really embraced the new medium very quickly.
Yes.
The transition from live performances to virtual.
Yes.
And how was that? I mean, how did you? It seemed like that was a natural fit for you.
I was so nervous about how I was even going to deal with that, because how do you talk to people that aren't there?
How did you?
It was hard.
Without a live,
without
the energy
in front of you. It was definitely tough. But once the comments started rolling and I was able to respond to those verbally, that made it a little bit better. And then people would start requesting songs for me to sing, and that made it a little bit better. That made it a little bit more fun. And then eventually I just got comfortable with it.
Wow. Okay. So Saline. How did you adopt that name?
Well, Saline Dijon is my favorite singer.
Okay.
And I always knew that if I was going to do drag, I wanted to have it something to do with her, but I couldn't use her first name because she's literally known. If you say Saline, the only person you can think of is Saline Dijon.
Right.
And I was like, I'm strapping on a pair of tits. I might as well be Saline Dijon. And Dijon is like mustard, but it's really not. And
do you like
I'm
Dijon
kind
mustard?
of I do love Dijon mustard. But it's kind of like mustard, but it's not really mustard. And kind of like Celine, but I'm not Celine.
Get it. Now I get it. Oh, I love that. I love that. And like Celine, you do your own singing.
Yes, I sing.
And I think that's important for people to know that
Yes.
when you're performing in Fire Island or in Manhattan over this summer, you're not doing lip syncing per se. Or that's,
no, there's only, I lip sync one song with Miss Ariel Sinclair.
Wow.
And that is it. I love to sing so much that I only want to do that. And actually, me being a drag queen, I've gotten so much more notice of being a singer than I did as singing as a boy. So it's been actually more of a blessing in my musical career than anything else.
Has there been more pressure on you to lip sync with RuPaul's Drag Race being a thing? Do you feel like there's pressure that you
sometimes yes, sometimes no, because like people just want to hear the pop songs that they want to hear, but I'm like, you can go anywhere and hear them. I'm giving you something different. Let's enjoy something here. And like, I'm still singing those songs for you. It's just not the artist's voice. It's mine. And let's embrace that. Like, we should celebrate like the difference in drag. And that's the thing. Like, drag has become such a cookie cutter in the box type of thing. Everybody just wants to hear the same songs, and everybody wants a split, and everybody wants a cartwheel. I'm like, I don't do any of that shit. Like, I'm not a dancer by any means. I bop around the floor when I'm singing songs or whatever, but I want to sing. That's how I express myself. That's where my love comes from, my voice. So I would hope that people would be more embracing of that, rather than wanting to have the same show every single night that they're used to in a bar.
Yeah. So in 2025, are people supportive of drag? Like, are they tipping when they go out?
Oh, yes.
When they see you, are they decently supporting drag?
Oh, yes. I don't have any complaints in that department.
How about what's happening politically? How are you feeling about where we're at and sort of the war on drag, so to speak, that's happening in this country?
I just feel like people need to mind their goddamn business. It's no secret that I hate our president. I think he's a disgusting son of a bitch, and I have a lot to say. You can follow me on my Instagram at Saline.Dijon, on Facebook, Saline Dijon, you'll see everything I have to say about it. But like, drag queens aren't doing anything. It's literally a distraction from everything else that everybody else is doing to do bad in this world. Drag queens aren't killing anybody. Drag queens aren't molesting your children. No, those are the white male Republicans that you're voting for. Those are the pastors that you go and give your money to at the church every Sunday. That's who's doing these terrible things to your kids. But because you hold some man-made book to some wacky standard and cherry pick things from it to try and prove your non-factual based points is a problem. Yeah. It's a problem. That's what's causing all the hate and destruction and bullshit in this world.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
I yell a lot.
Do you ever take that stigma and bullshit personally?
I do, because it's me, it's you, it's my friends and my family, it's my partner, it's the people I've chosen to keep around me that are being hurt and chastised and silenced. People want to silence us, and I'm not one to be silenced and not speak and not advocate and not fight for people.
Have you always had that confidence to speak up and advocate?
No, not until I was like maybe in my late 20s, early 30s, because I was a shy kid, but I was always someone who was a people pleaser, and I didn't want to shake things up or ruffle any feathers. Now, I'm gonna be 39 this year. I don't give one iota of a fuck who I piss off. Like Momdani just won the primary last night, and people have been commenting on my post about how I voted for a terrorist. I'm like, why is he a terrorist? I was like, can you show me anything that points that? Has he flown planes to a building? Has he killed anybody? It's because he's Muslim. This all Muslims are terrorists thing is just something that is another fucking problem. And they're saying that he's anti-Semitic. And I said, okay, well, prove this to me.
Mhm.
I said, I'm all about being educated. If you have proof that he hates Jewish people, show it to me and try and change my mind. Change my mind. I'm all about reforming an opinion based on facts. And the facts that I have read through many publications, including a lot of Jewish publications, have criticized, yes, his stance on his pro-Palestinian stance, but have also quoted him on him wanting a ceasefire between Gaza and Israel, and have quoted him on being supportive of the Jewish community in New York City. So I need to know where you're getting this from. You can't just say anti-Semitic. You can't just say racist. You can't just say terrorist and not have something to back it up just because you don't agree with this person.
Right.
These stamps that you're putting on him are very serious, and like, you can't just use them as buzzwords to be angry with and try and piss somebody else off. You have to back those words up. They're very powerful words.
Right. So that stamp, that overgeneralization that's often not founded on actual facts that we see play out in the mayoral race. I think it's very much the similar thing with drag queens right now.
Yes.
And with people of trans experience. And of course we know from history that this is, this doesn't stop and end with drag queens or people of trans experience. It's people who are gay, people who are lesbian,
Correct.
people who are bi. And once they get done with us, they go on to somebody else, or they go on to people of different ethnicities and races, which are already doing.
Yes.
So that whole stereotyping, stigmatizing of a group of people with zero basis or very little.
Very much
It's
that.
dangerous.
It's very
It affects
dangerous.
all of us.
It's very dangerous. And which brings me back to how we elected this person to be our president again. Like, Harris was not my first choice. Joe Biden wasn't even my first choice for Democratic tickets. But we've already been through this with this orange orangutan. Like, we've already done this with him already. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, this person's a criminal, Joe Biden's a criminal, but this man has 34 indictments and you still voted for him. So like, I'm trying to figure out where people's minds go, that one is like, what's good for the goose isn't also good for the gander, because it should be for both. If Joe Biden was a criminal, then yeah, fine, he's a criminal. Prove it to me. We've proven that Donald Trump's a criminal. We've proven that he's a sexual predator. We've proven that he's a racist. That he's an I think he's an anti-Semite. He said some really terrible things about Jewish people, but now he's sucking Netanyahu's dick. So who knows where his stance is on that at the moment. But I think it's just because he thinks he's going to get some land out of Netanyahu.
Sure.
But just what a mixed up, fucked up world we're living in when nobody's thoughts are streamlined anymore.
What do you make of that? Why do you think this country elected Trump for a second time? Or some people are telling me they don't think we actually...
I mean, that's also being investigated. That's also a thing that could be very possibly true. And I haven't read much on that for myself to comment on and be knowledgeable enough about to form an opinion, but I definitely think it's a possibility. I just think after the first time in 2016, with his campaign before that, he just ignited so much hate and made it okay for people to say things that weren't supposed to be said, and allowed that hate to be acceptable again.
Yeah.
Like, it was like bringing us right back to like the 1960s, I feel.
And that was the catalyst for him getting reelected.
Yeah, because I feel like those people never stopped being callous and hateful, and then they said, well, this man made it okay, so let's bring him back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm struggling, but I think you're absolutely correct. I struggle because, I've grown up primarily in left-leaning liberal blue cities on both coasts.
Yes.
And really thought that we were going on a general trajectory of humanity and compassion. But I think what you're saying is much more sound and fact-based, that the hate that it wasn't gone with Sesame Street in the 70s or civil rights or Stonewall. It was just really buried underneath.
100%.
And now that there's this sort of validity to it, people are running with it. Really empowered by it.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I have a little bit of hope because of the way that those No King protests were attended, and how his dick measuring birthday parade wasn't attended. I have a little bit of hope there for at least the midterms, if there are midterms. Like there's still that really scary prospect of everything that's in the Project 2025 novel that they wrote of there possibly not being elections. It's a very scary place to be in right now. But I do have a little bit of hope because people seem to be pushing back, and I think the Democrats that this we're not him type of mentality is not the way to win any elections.
What is the way?
Like the way is to like listen to what the fuck everybody else is saying. Listen to what we are telling you as your constituents. I mean, this all has to like start at local level, but they need to start listening, actually listening to the people, and not just trying to bank on, oh well, he's a sexual predator, so we're better. Like you can't roll that way. You have to, and they're also too nice. They've been too nice.
Do you think Kamala was too nice?
I don't know if she was too nice, but I don't think she hit hard enough either. I think that debate, she won. That debate was incredible. I think she definitely had her spot there. But like senators and Congress people in hearings, you need to stand up and say, fuck you. Like holding up signs, childish. And it's just adolescent behavior, and we need adults. We need adults in the room again.
Yeah. Do you feel like our next mayor or our Democratic candidate, Zoran Mamdani, is going to do that? Going to be the adult in the room?
I really hope so.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed his campaign. I think he seems to stand on business, on his business rather. So I'm hoping that if he is elected, that he's the one to turn things around.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. I just literally before you came here, I just had a conversation with someone who is not living in New York, but very rational and very politically aware and very smart, but also told me the same thing. Well, but I heard or saw this post where Zoran was anti-Semitic and made all these anti-Semitic comments. And I said to her, show me. Don't just say he's this or that. Like, show me if you have any evidence. I don't think somebody could lead Brooklyn and Queens in significant numbers if they were especially
absolutely not.
To her exactly like if you have anything, show me. But all I see are accusations and slurs that are being thrown around with no merit.
Yes, 100%. And also like this whole, even with just like people. Just because you're criticizing the Israeli government doesn't make you anti-Semitic.
Right.
Just because you're criticizing the Palestinian government doesn't mean that you're a Zionist.
Yeah.
And people are not separating the innocents in all this from their governments. The Palestinian people are not their government. The Israeli people are not their government, just as much as the people of the United States are not their government.
Yeah.
These people on both sides there in Israel and Gaza, children are being killed. Children are being killed in Israel. Children are still being killed in Gaza. These are innocent people that don't deserve what they're getting. And the only terrorists here are Netanyahu and Hamas.
Yeah.
So like, people are just being very ignorant in the fact of choosing sides. You can't choose sides.
I think they're being reductive in all or nothing, black or white thinking,
yes.
All good or all bad. How do we get people to think a little bit more critically and look at these issues that are more complicated and nuanced?
I sadly think that we're just like the people who think the way that they're thinking are just going to keep thinking it. I think we're just in that spot now where in a world now where we're on the internet all the time, we have our phones in our hands all the time, we have notifications coming in. So it's like, this is coming in, new news, this is what's being said, someone said this, the next person said that, and there's just too much. There's too much, and it's all instant. It's all in our faces all the time, and it's, for lack of a better word, it's brainwashing. In action, it's not intentionally brainwashing. I think it's just the action of all of these things happening are brainwashing actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're not thinking critically and you think the way that you're thinking, then that's just the way it is at this point. And I think the only hope is raising younger people to critically think rather than trying to make the people who are adults who should be thinking that way.
Well, I've always said that. However, young people turned out for Trump.
Yes.
I mean, I think that reductive thinking he really tapped into, it's sort of a mental laziness in terms of saying, I don't really have to do my homework or look at the nuance. I can just read the headline, read the spin, and then I know what I need to know.
Yep. And that's not the case.
And that's where I'm sort of thinking how we change that or encourage a different way of thinking more critically about what's being referred to as news.
Yes.
And I don't have an answer. That's what I'm asking you. But I think this is an ongoing process and talking about these things and encouraging people to actually read beyond the headline, even in left-leaning liberal platforms.
Yes.
Just like, okay, the headline is one thing, the story can be very different.
100%.
You know, and just think about it. Think about it.
And I just don't know why people don't want to form their own thoughts. Like, why wouldn't you want to have, like, that's one of the very few full 100% freedoms that we have is thinking.
Right. Isn't that interesting that 250 years ago, that was the priority for the founders of this country? And it seems to me, I'm not sure if this is a blip or if this is like, all right, the rest of my life, this is where we're going.
And I feel like a lot of people are flip-flop thinkers. Like, because I feel like a lot of people who did vote for Trump are coming around now into a way of thinking, oh, I messed up. And I do. And that's another reason why I think I have hope for midterm elections and going blue again, or at least getting some control back where there's some checks and balances again.
Do you think this country needs a substantial third party?
I do. I don't think any country should have ever had two parties. Like, because minds evolve, thoughts evolve, and you need someone that can maybe think both ways or maybe think a little further another way to be more progressive. And yes, we need a third party for absolute sure.
I wish we had a system that supported that. Because unfortunately, at this moment, the way the system is set up, that any third-party candidate in a major election is going to fuck it up for one side or the other above.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jill Stein or Ralph Nader, you know, they really mess things up.
They do.
And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish they could run on a viable platform because we see there's still this little problem, not so little in this country, that like at least a third of registered voters don't vote. So where are they? How do we get them?
And also in this mayoral race, you had a candidate named Jim Walden who's running as an independent, but he was leaning towards running as a Republican. So I think even that's a little bit dangerous because of the state of the Republican Party as it is right now. I forgot why he decided not to run as a Republican. I think it was money, some type of money or something like that. But then he's like, I'm just going to run as an independent. But now I know that his leanings as an independent are more Republican than Democrat and more conservative than liberal.
Wow.
So that's also something that people need to think about and look into when they're choosing a candidate. Like, actually research their candidate.
Right. Do the homework, which I have to admit I wasn't so great about in this mayor race. I did the best I could. I really didn't.
I mean, there's only so many minutes in a day. You have so many minutes. There's only so many hours.
Yeah.
And the news cycle is just so exhausting at this point. You have to take a break.
So how do you balance that? How do you balance news, politics with mental health and taking care of yourself?
I drink.
All right.
No, I work a lot. So I'm a restaurant manager by day, so I do work a lot. And then I have my gigs that I take care of me, but also that can get political too, just being in a gig bar, because our existence is political, and I'm going to use my drag to speak out on that type of stuff, but I do still try and keep it fun and lighter. A lot of TV that isn't news, I'll just try and use that to escape. Music is an escape for me. My dogs are an escape for me.
What music feels good for you these days?
Not much of these days. Music is really feeling great to me. I'm still on Kelly Clarkson's latest release. I still love her very much. Celine is always in my rotation. Cher is always in my rotation. I like to listen to a lot of people like from Australia and in the UK. I like to like artists that don't have hits and stuff here. So like yeah, just any type of music, whatever comes up on my shuffle is an escape for me.
You like Robbie Williams?
I do like Robbie Williams.
Okay, he has a new album coming out.
Does he have a new?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check
I don't
that
know
out.
if it's going to be any good. He's good. That's great. Yeah, this is, if ever there's been a time for self-care, this would be it. Because I think we're going to get to the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope is that we're in okay shape by the time we get there. Because for some folks that are going through it right now, it's sort of like driving with the emergency brake on the car. Like, you'll get to the other side, but what kind of shape are you going to be in?
Yes.
I really want to be able to get there and be in
have
good mental, physical shape for the good side that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And like you, I do have hope. I see the protests. The numbers were close in the popular vote. It was not a landslide. It was not a mandate. And that also gives me hope.
But it was a, wait, for the presidential?
The presidential. The popular vote.
It was not a landslide by any means.
Was very small.
Yep.
Very small margin of victory. And I also have not seen any data to suggest that there was election tampering. However, there was what I wondered was a confession by Mr. Musk on his platform.
Oh,
he did actually say so, and deleted it. Where he said that he bought the election, and here's what the numbers would have looked like specifically had he not bought the election. I'm like, that's awfully specific and telling. That is very telling. You know, it's like accusation is confession.
Yep.
In that part. So it's like, are you actually confessing this? And then the fact he deleted it, I was like, what again? So I don't know. I still am more of a data-driven person, and I still have yet to see data that suggests there was widespread election tampering that affected the outcome of the presidential election.
There is an interesting thing in Rockland County, in upstate New York, where they're showing that there were 0 votes in some, I don't know if it's a whole county or a certain area of the county, where there were 0 votes for Kamala Harris.
Ooh.
And it was 0 votes for Kamala, but then also Democratic down the rest of the ballot, which is very weird.
Suspicious.
For there to be 0 votes and then the rest Democratic seems very odd. And then there has been rumblings that voting machines had been tampered with even before the election
in Rockland
County.
So I don't know. I mean, I hear these stories and I hear these anecdotal stories, and I think it's possible.
It's possible,
and especially after Elon Musk's tweet confession.
Yeah.
But it's still like, okay, so where's the data? Is there data? If there was data, how would we know it? Enough that it affected, especially the swing states, because that was really where everything fell short.
Yes.
You know,
and
how did that happen? I don't know. And I don't think if we do ever find out, I don't think it's gonna be within the next year or even the next 2 years, but I think it will come out if it's a thing. Wow. All right. In the meantime, while we're in this political turbulence, you offer your audiences an experience.
I do.
Of joy, of fun, of play, of laughter, of escape. Let's talk about your shows.
All right, so I have Stonewall Bingo every Monday at 9 p.m. That's on Christopher Street in the West Village, the most legendary gay bar in the country. It's where it all began for us. And you can find me sporadically out on Fire Island throughout the summer. Just follow me on the social media. Saline.Dijon on Instagram and Saline Dijon on Facebook, and you can find everything I'm doing there.
So all those links are right down below. You're often at the Ice Palace.
I am often at the Ice Palace, yes.
You know, which is great. Daniel Nardicchio
is amazing.
Been a guest on the tub, and so I think wonderful things for our community.
Yes, he's an incredible knowledge of nightlife for sure.
So much.
He's incredible, and him and his team have done really amazing things. They have Red Eye down in Hell's Kitchen now, which is a great place. I have graced the stage there. I'm not a regular performer there. Hint, hint. Let's figure that out. But yeah, they're just incredible. The whole team of boys is really, really amazing, and they're really bringing the Ice Palace back to what it should be.
Great. What excites you about turning 40?
Just less fucks to give. I felt that when I was turning 30 too. Like I felt like weight being lifted off of my shoulders, and 30 was a really, really great year, and I think 40 is going to be even better.
Awesome. I'm so with you, and so is Cher, by the way. But I often say, I'm 54. I could not have done a series like this until I was in my 50s. Like, I didn't have the courage or the confidence to invite people to come take a bath with me.
Yes.
Until I was in my 50s and really, was persistently dismissing all the fucks that I had left about, like, all the saying, oh, you can't do that. And it's like, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I will. Why not?
I can't.
Or at least why not find out?
Yeah.
And here we are, almost 200 episodes later. So,
I love that.
is there anything else you'd like to promote or make sure people know?
Just lead with love, people. That's all. That is all. Just lead with love.
So people will follow you if they want to see more of your shows, more of your entertainment. You have a great YouTube channel with so many of your performances, and people can see a lot of your amazing singing.
Yes,
there,
they can.
if they want to check you out there. And we'll just have to have you back in the tub.
Yes,
and
I'd love to come back.
Updated on what's going on.
Next time, no wig. It's too hot. Next time I'll come as a boy.
It's such a Monday anyway. Anything you want. People can be in the tub any way they wish.
Yes. Okay.
We're naked, but any way you want. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last.
Mwah. Mwah. All right, everybody. If you like this interview, subscribe and have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.